So first of all, good morning again to everyone and welcome to our webinar for today. We are very excited and pleased to share with you some of the AI capabilities of our product SolarWinds Service Desk. My name is Mon Dule, and I'm the sales manager here at Prosperon Networks. And prior to joining Prosperon in 2018, I've spent more than 12 years of my career in the IT service management space. So I'm very passionate about service management and the value that it brings to organizations. So joining me today is, we call him Mr. ITIL himself, Sean Sebring. Good morning, Sean. Looking very dapper in your nice shirt today.
Thank you, Mon. Thank you, Mon. Trying to be in the festive Halloween spirit here. So appreciate it and happy to be here as always.
How's the weather in Ireland right now? It's very sunny here in Worthing, so it's good timing for this webinar, I hope.
The sun is tucked away. It's a little gray, but it's not raining. So I think
Good.
that means good weather here in Ireland. So
All right. Cool. Thanks, Sean. So, as customary, before we move on to the webinar proper, I thought I'd like to share a quick snapshot of who Prosperon is because I know some of you may already seen this slide, but for the benefit of others, I'll probably give a few minutes to actually just talk about Prosperon and SolarWinds. So, Prosperon Networks have been a SolarWinds partner for over 18 years, and we're very proud of the recognition that we hold the highest tier of partnership actually for SolarWinds here in EMEA. We support over 400 customers, not just in EMEA, but also globally through our professional services engagements and being a value-added reseller. In fact, one of the proudest achievement that we had over the years is winning a lot of these awards, Sean, and on technical excellence and customer retention, and of course, being the SolarWinds HCO Partner of the Year last year. So we're very proud of these achievements because this just solidifies and cements our commitment to our customers in making sure that they maximize and optimize their investment in SolarWinds products. So these professional services are delivered by our SolarWinds certified professionals. So we have about 10 within our team. And we can also work on this security sensitive projects. So we have security cleared engineers working within our team. So if anyone in the audience are looking into or have security sensitive projects, then we have the resources and the skills to be able to support you on that one. And finally, I'd like to highlight about the THWAC, the online community forum for SolarWinds users, because I myself, I'm a member and a user of THWAC. So we have four THWAC MVPs within Prosperon. So you're going to be seeing a lot of our posts there, helping customers, prospects, and partners, and sharing to the community our some of the problems or issues or even enhancements that we've done with our customers. So if you are not part of the THWAC community, I would also encourage you to actually join that. Right. So in every webinar that we do, we always aim to give back to our attendees, be it from an insights or a learning perspective or something practical that they could actually apply on their day-to-day roles. But for this session, we will aim to showcase how our SolarWinds Service Desk product is embracing artificial intelligence or AI and ensuring that through our design, our customers achieve maximum safety regarding personal data collection, storage, use, and protection. Additionally, we will share to you how using SolarWinds AI capabilities can really significantly reduce, the workload and also increase the productivity of your team. And finally, talking about, service level objectives, agreements, and expectations, you can actually meet your agreed and expected service level agreements with your customers using some of the AI capabilities of SolarWinds Service Desk. Okay, so before I hand it over to Sean for the webinar proper, I'd like to start off first with a poll question. So you should probably see this on your screen right now. So the first poll question is, within the audience right now, who is currently using AI within their ITSM tool? So the options are yes, no, and partially. So let's just wait for a few um, um, seconds Sean, to get in the responses.
I like that we clarify within their ITSM tool because I don't think I would expect anybody to say I'm not using AI at all, right? AI
Yeah.
exists somewhere in someone's life, whether it's that device you talk to in your kitchen to help
Mm-hmm.
set timers or what. So, I don't want to say any names and turn anybody's house on. But yeah, it's everywhere. So it is important because we're focusing on AI and ITSM today, which
Yeah,
is yeah, a good topic, fun topic.
exactly. So I don't know if you could see the screen now in terms of the poll responses, um, Sean, but yeah, we're seeing no, which is like 67% of the respondents, and then 33% saying partially.
Well, I'd
Any
love to see
thoughts on
more
this one?
yeses in there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Um, well, it is much newer, and there are some arguable AI versus generative AI. And so I do think that as we go throughout this, you'll also be excited to know that it's much more on the generative side that we're going to be focusing, because some traditional AIs, people argue, are not AI. It's just a logic based scenario. So I'm eager to see what people think after we go through this today.
Yeah.
But this does just present an opportunity to say, okay, well, if you're not using it today, maybe we'll learn some of the value in using it.
Exactly, and I think the fact that from the ones that have already started their AI journey, I think that's quite interesting because we can just supplement their knowledge or insights about AI, but also rightfully what you've said earlier, it's we have the right audience because that's actually our goal for today is to give them some insights on how the ITSM space is embracing AI within the community. So yes, thank you everyone for their responses. So we still have more poll questions along the way. So yes, so I can now hand it over to Sean for the webinar proper.
All right. So our next slide, if you want to roll on into that, um, let's have it go through. There we go. So I am sure everyone may be slightly sick of hearing more conversations about AI, but this one's super relevant, especially considering, and the poll justified this here, right? That we're not using it on ITSM as much as we could or should
Mhm.
be. So I think it's a super relevant topic for us. So I think what we want to focus on is it's happening, whether you're doing it or not, right? It's coming. And so I have an analogy that I prepared for us here, and so I'm gonna pitch this over to Mon. So, Mon, after you
Okay.
finish a meal at home, what do you do with your dirty
Yes.
dishes?
Well, I'm very fortunate to have or lucky to have a dishwasher, so I put it in the dishwasher.
Very good. Now, I'm actually going to dig this a little deeper. We all know that a
Mm-hmm.
dishwasher is intended to save you time and be more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
But arguably, what Mon could have said to enhance that automation experience is he may rinse or wipe the dishes before he puts them in. And the reason that I wanted to prepare it this way is
Mm-hmm.
because AI is another form of automation to eliminate some of those repetitive tasks to free us up. So, right, if I'm spending less time doing dishes, there's other things I can be doing around my home. But that
Okay.
doesn't mean I could be using AI for better or for worse or even just more efficiently, right? So if I'm loading my dishwasher and I'm not loading it properly or taking good care of the dish before I put it in, then I'm actually potentially making
Damage.
that automation process slowly degrade in its ability
Yeah,
to be
damaging. Yeah,
efficient,
yeah.
right? So don't get left behind on these things, but also realize that the idea, like many people may not think of washing dishes as something that's even acceptable anymore, right? So we've gotten so accustomed to certain things. Mowing the lawn is another one that comes to mind. Could you imagine using a push reel or a blade to sweep to mow
Or the
your lawn? Like,
Hoover.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that are just part of how we live in society nowadays. And this is another one of them, right? So this is where we say don't get left behind. So very good. Next, who doesn't like some empirical data? We've got some statistics to accompany us here. And I like these. Some of them are obvious. I'm not going to read straight into them. Feel
Mm-hmm.
free to read into them. But the first one talks about overwhelmed agents and burnout. And the way I like to look at it is understimulated agents, right? Especially because the idea is to reduce or eliminate repetitive tasks. I've worked in a call center before, and I can tell you how draining it is to do the same thing, repeat the same phrase, right? And deliver maybe the same service over and over and over again.
Mm.
So by putting AI in place here, it does say overwhelmed, but I would say burnout often also is accompanied by understimulation. So if we can have AI performing those tasks for us, that that would allow me as an agent to become more productive in other areas, be more innovative, focus on more challenging things. Um, Again, participating in a lack of burnout now, right? Lengthy remediation, I'm sure we're all very aware that this creates more efficiencies. AI is faster with its responses. It helps eliminate um, some human errors, right? So making sure that we're not letting something fall through the cracks is a good way that we put it there. And then for the last one on this screen here, again, just more statistics to support this. Reactive support, right? Think about when a building is going through construction and able to be open to either the public or to an organization. One of the requirements is a sprinkler system, right? And that's just a system that's in place that you cannot even expect a building to not have
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, right? So it is a form of reactive, but it's also in its own right predictive and preventative, right? So it's preventative in the sense that if it smells smoke, it turns the system on, a fire alarm goes off. And so leveraging systems like this to help be less reactive, wait for the fire to start and then put it out. Or rather, we've got a sprinkler system in place with the fire alarms, right? And it's automatically going to contact the fire brigade, fire department. So these are things where we rely on systems. And so adding them in, accepting them, and knowing how to best leverage them. This is where, from the previous slide, we say, don't get left behind.
Before you move on, Sean, just some thoughts from my end. Looking at these statistics, I think what I really like about this statistics or numbers is it's all gearing towards the people element, the human element of
Mm.
these innovations that are actually coming up. And I'm really pleased to see this because when you talk about the traditional IT like people, process, technology, and partnerships, right? So oftentimes, the people element of that is being, when you develop a capability or functionality within a service management tool, sometimes the people element always, is left behind. But what this study is actually showing is that a lot of the innovation or enhancements that are being done within the ITSM space right now are gearing towards, okay, how can I make sure that my agents are not burned out? I myself started my career, Sean, also as a specialist way back in the days, and doing repetitive tasks without really introducing some sort of like automation or virtual agents, for example,
Mm-hmm.
can be a bit tiring. So I think the fact that this community is actually gearing towards helping the people or the human element of it, I'm really very pleased with how the direction is going.
I agree. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
All right. So again, just some more perspectives on the effects of how this will impact teams and organizations. So uh, slightly mentioned on the previous slide, but like accuracy and speed, right? This would go with the middle column from the
Mm-hmm.
last one. But agents and teams will achieve better resolutions faster because, well, it's coming from a system. It can think quicker than we can, and we can leverage it. And what we're going to start talking about more and more throughout the rest of our episode here is the human element still involved, right? This is just presenting itself faster, right? And trying to help navigate things quicker. And this will scale. Similar to the dishwasher analogy, right? The better you use the AI, the better it's able to assist you. So that means good, clean data, putting in proper context. You can't just sit back, relax, and let AI work for you. You have to work with AI to make it better. And clearly, with that, right, we're talking about more accuracy, more speed, more efficiency. That's going to lead to improved experiences,
Yeah.
right? The reason we want all those things to be better is so that our experience is better. The experience is the end of the tunnel, right? So everything we improve in between means that the experience, which is the overall outcome of what we're looking for, is a better place. And this is one of my favorites. The last one here says not a cost
Yes.
center. I will say this over and over in almost any webinar I get a chance to, any talk, thought leadership, is that IT should not be looked at as a cost center, but as a value center.
Correct.
right? So it's transitioned, I think, in the positive direction, the correct direction. I think more organizations and leaderships have accepted that
Yeah.
IT is essential, right? It's clear you cannot operate, you cannot exist, you cannot succeed and grow without it. So let's look at it as a value center. And then that also means that the IT leaders themselves need to constantly be thinking about how can we improve the value that we add. And AI is just going to exponentially increase that.
That's actually also my favorite, Sean, that caught my attention because in fact we were in a SolarWinds roundtable event a couple of weeks ago, and when I was speaking to someone from the public sector here in the UK, they're already thinking about how can I actually generate additional income for the business for us to be able
Right,
to implement a lot of these IT projects. And
right.
one of the things that they're doing is using the just a segue on the SolarWinds monitoring products. They're thinking of ways on how to actually support or productizing their services to be able to support other councils. And
Mm-hmm.
comes the discussion of, okay, how do you actually productize these services to your organization? And it's good to see, being innovative and creative, because it's true, right? How for you to be able to generate the budget to be able to get your IT projects approved, you need to be able to be seen as a value generating portion of the or part of
100%.
the
Yeah.
business. So I really, this really resonated with me as well.
Yeah. And I think it's another way to look at it is business justification, right? Getting leadership
Agree.
buy-in, right? We
Agree.
have to see what is the outcome, what's the light at the end of the tunnel. But all of these things are meant to help you, individuals joining, looking, reviewing at these things, and saying, "Hey, this is an investment in the future," and the
Mm-hmm.
ROI is there.
Yep.
All right. Um, So, Anban, I don't know if you had anything to add here, but this is kind of just a prep for us talking about SolarWinds AI specifically, less general, more specifics here.
I think for me is we've touched upon some of the items already earlier that we've talked about. Thinking about my putting on my hat earlier, right? When I said I used to be also a specialist way back in the day, and sometimes our challenge is really gathering those resolutions and making sure that what you're responding is actually the right one. Not being said that, the agent or the virtual agent or whatever gives you already, but there's a human element of that resolution. But I think as an if I was an agent then, I was putting on my hat then, I would probably
Mm-hmm.
look for more guided or, much more better and faster way to be able to respond, because we're as an agent, you're actually timed with your, the how fast you can actually resolve a case or a ticket.
Right, right.
So I think that those are, if I was putting on my agent hat, that's what I would be looking for.
Well, very good. And yeah, we are going to jump into the next bit of, well, actually, the remainder for the most part
Mm-hmm.
of our webcast today is talking about SolarWinds AI and how it can lead you there. But on the next slide, I think is the best place to start, because
Cool.
nothing starts without
With.
discussing how is it designed, and the first principle being the most important here, privacy and security, right? Because one of the biggest concerns when I've been introducing the generative AI to our customers is they ask, well, where's my data? Where is it going to
Data.
be stored? How is it going to be processed? So what we have here is, you may or may not have heard this. We can provide links post webinar,
Mm-hmm.
but secure by design has been a very big theme and thing, a theme for SolarWinds for a while now. And so when AI by design, it kind of took the same principles of secure by design. So it started with security first, right? So we want to start there and make sure that everyone feels safe and assured. These are SolarWinds created, so it's not a plugin, it's not a hook into other things there. But starting with security first is the first principle when we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
how is the AI design. And the second one brings in the points that Mon was making previously, which is we need a human involved. So AI is there as a prompt, right? We talk about prompt engineering as part of AI, but then we prompt it and it says, what about this? Right? It's not
Mm.
just doing the work for you, it's expediting your ability to get the work done. So we've all got a favorite chat tool, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, there's others out there. but I'm sure most, if not all of us, have used them. We're using them to make us more efficient, but I feel that a lot of times we're still using them and going in and tailoring it, tweaking it, further prompting it to give us what we feel is the best answer, right? And so when we're designing our AI, there's feedback loops in, and you'll see
Mm-hmm.
that when we go through some of the demonstration today. So people are 100% intended to stay a part of generative AI's contributions here. Our third principle is also, I think, very important, kind of participates into the privacy and
Mm-hmm.
security aspect, but it's just making sure you trust it, right? We can have a page, we can have a certification badge, but just being part of the journey as it grows, right? So continuous refinement, right? So just discussing how it works. And we do have a really good post by Sai, our engineering leader here at SolarWinds, that just discusses how we're going about and approaching the build, the security, how we're taking the feedback, how our support team takes the responses, because we have built-in feedback loops, but how our support team takes those and sends them in so that we're continuing to always grow the AI's intelligence. And then finally on this page, um, it has to make sense, right? If
Mm-hmm.
we built the smartest, coolest AI, but it didn't fit, it
Yeah.
didn't make sense, right? It wasn't obvious to use, then it would be counterintuitive, right? Because the whole goal is make me more efficient and accurate. But if I can't even get to it, if I don't understand it, right, then
It's that user
that's a bust.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Counterintuitive is the only thing that comes to mind. So, discussing the approach, I think, is the best and most appropriate thing before we dive into the rest of more about SolarWinds AI. Again, focusing today mostly, almost exclusively on how it integrates with ITSM. Very good. Um, so now we're getting ready to jump into our demonstration portion of things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so let's talk about, and I move these around, so I hope you guys follow along with me here. So what we're going to do first is talk about draft responses, right? So one of the first things that should ever happen, and Mon, you probably agree because you've been in service management, is let's acknowledge our user,
Yes.
right? Let's acknowledge the user. It's also one of the first SLAs we think of is time to first response, right? So we can plug in those words, but let's see it in action. I think the first thing that I want to do here is let's simulate a scenario where we submit a ticket so that you guys can see that this isn't just a completely scripted scenario or screenshot based. So I'm going to put in a my fake user there, Sean Z. He's a good guy. We'll say he's having an issue with dialpad, which if you've seen me demonstrate anything before, he's always got issues there. All right. And when I mentioned at the start of our cast, right, we've got some suggestions which people do argue is or is not AI, right? It's things that's logic based learning. It's not the generative side, but these suggestions can still be really helpful out of the box. And these are for the end user. So suggesting categorization, right? Suggesting different services or
Mm-hmm.
articles. These are really great ways to also leverage AI, not the specific topic, but worth highlighting since they show up for us here. So we'll pop the issue in there. Let's go view it from the technician's perspective next. And here's where we're going to focus on the generative AI side of things, right? So we've got Shanzi's issue that's popped in. And
Mm-hmm.
again, as we had mentioned, let's go ahead and acknowledge Shanzi. So of course, normally I mess with the states, the categories, and stuff like that. Let's focus on AI. Let's generate a response. So I asked the generative AI to write a response, and it gives me the choice of how to greet him. I am a Texan there. You see my cowboy hat in the picture, so I'll say howdy. And then I'm also an Austinite, so I'm a little more hip than most people perceive. I'll say, take it easy, right? And this is where the human element comes in because, as we'd mentioned, the generative AI is doing a lot, right? It wrote this response. I can just post it out. I can use other templates, but it's giving me the ability to review, make sure it looks good. But it did a lot of the lift for me. It also did a lot of
Yeah.
the thinking because you'll see here, it also gave them some suggested steps. It's not just saying, hey, how are you? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it acknowledges them, it's giving them some instructions, some guidance, and we can post this out to our end user. A next great piece of the generative AI, and here's that feedback loop I was talking about, right? We can see that it's asking for our experience, any suggestions there. But our next thing is for the technician, right? What do we want to advise the technician? This is what it's asking the technician, hey, do you want to try these steps,
Mm-hmm.
right? And as a technician, I can walk through them. I can, let's just say, make a private note that I'm going to try these steps, right? I can, here, we'll go to the top and I'll just say, I tried these, right? And then I'm just putting this note in so that other folks know what I've already tried. Um, and again, let's jump back to our other form of suggestions here, some other bits of the AI, where we've written out knowledge base articles just for some additional context. We'll pop this one in here and we'll send this out to the end user. All right, so there's so many different things we can leverage. So I actually jumped ahead a bit real quick because I know we have a slide that talks about the suggestions for the
Yes.
technician, but these just continue to flow. So I will pause for a second so we can jump back to the slide and then we'll switch back to this screen just so we can make sure we're not missing anything. I get excited. You'll have to forgive me. Um, yeah, so let's make sure we didn't miss anything. Mon, if you want to pull up that slide again.
Yep. All right. So
Okay,
we
so
actually stopped on this particular
yeah,
slide. Yeah. Yeah.
we covered draft responses, right? So it's just, again, it's about acknowledging the end user, and everything we talked about on the slides prior was how can we be more efficient and consistent. And so this will definitely help with that.
Just a quick question on that one,
Yeah.
Sean, with what you've shown in the demo. So I could see that you could actually, do the ratings per resolution. So I reckon that the more I actually say, for example, that particular resolution, I rate it high, AI would actually be proposing that more often if the rating of that particular resolution is high. That's my assumption. Is that correct?
Yes. So that's the
Okay.
cleaning your plate before you put it in the
Yes.
dishwasher, right? So that's giving it the feedback.
Okay.
And things I mentioned before I even hit
Hmm.
the comment there, the draft response was categorization, and AI influences those too, but the more accurate you're confirming the data is, because everything you tell the AI, it's gonna learn, right? So you still have to be clean in your usage of the AI to make it more and more efficient for you.
Cool.
Great question there. So we already demoed the next one, but if you want to go to the next slide, make sure we
Yes,
didn't miss
actually, I was
anything
looking at
on
this
it.
one because this is the
Yeah,
next one that you were jumping earlier. But yes,
yeah.
probably just do a quick prelude, Sean, for the benefit of the audience.
So what's great about this one, and this goes outside of just ITSM, right? We saw how it works in the solution itself. But take, for example, we just had some turnover of some of our infrastructure team. And we had a major infrastructure issue take place, right? So now we've got a ticket in there. That new replacement, the backfill for our senior guy, he took off, he's gone. His knowledge may have gone with him, right? Ideally, we've done things to keep that knowledge in systems, but maybe we haven't. If he at least put his work in this system before, right? Maybe he's fixed this big problem in the past. This is where the AI steps in and its suggested solution says, based off of seeing this ticket before, right? Maybe based on the asset that's reporting the issue, I can give you suggestions, right? And it's also a good ramp time accelerator for new line level employees too, because if you have commonly repeated things, ideally again you'd have FAQs or articles to help with this, but the AI suggested solutions, I've got a new guy, he can leverage these to start day one,
Speed
he
up.
can
Yeah.
start sending responses, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's just more efficient, more consistent, and it's learning exclusively from your data in your tenant. So really cool stuff there. And again, I was very excited, so I jumped the gun on that. But we'll go to the next slide and then go back to the demo for the third piece that we're going to show. And it's actually kind of two things that I'll show in this, and this is summarization. So as a technician, if I am a tier 2 and I need to have something escalated to me, what I would hate to have to do, and I've done many, many times in the past, is go through the historical notes, right? See everything that's already taken place. And that's what this is going to help address as I switch over. Mon, did you have to add as we transition to showing it in the platform?
And I was just thinking about how our actually experience in the past about this lengthy thread, and it takes like, can I just have a way to be able to
Yeah.
like pick out the important points?
And so I love watching the little sparkles move. I hit generate summary. So what it's doing is it's looking over both the
Uh-huh.
private and public comments, and it's writing a summary of what's taken place on this issue so far. And this will take place in two different areas. You can also ask it to regenerate, right? So if you added additional notes after escalating, before escalating, right? Let's say you wrote out this summary, so we'll save that on there. Now this sits here and waits for, let's say I escalate it to a tier 2. If we have more notes added, we can regenerate that summary. That'll also be something that's optional at resolution, right? So it's generating a resolution summary of the ticket for us. So again, really valuable stuff that I would say is commonly missed, right? Getting someone to write their resolution notes. These are some tedious, sometimes less commonly adopted things that just have such an essential value when it comes to, okay, well, we need to be doing this, right? And the system's trying to help generate that for you. Some people may just hit generate, accept, and more ideally, we say generate. We tweak it and make sure that our human element is added to it, and then we accept, confirming and acknowledging our AI there, right? So for the most part, how are we doing on time, Mon? But
We're still good with time. We have about 18 minutes left until
so
10:45. Yes,
there's one other sneak peek that I wanted to give us
go
a
for it.
look into,
Yeah.
and it's necessary that I mention this is in our labs. So while it's able to be used by anyone on the appropriate tier of the product, it's in labs, so the feature may change as we continue to add to it. But if we went to our runbooks, which the runbooks are workflows, if we go to runbooks, we can actually ask the system's AI to generate a runbook for us. And so it'll generate runbooks by free text. So if I went into free text, I can just type out steps that
Hmm.
I want it to do, and it will create the workflow for me, maybe some tasks, some approvals. You could also import if you had it written out in a document. You can import it from PDF and Word at this point. So if it was in a notepad file, you could switch it to Word and write and ask it to generate based off of that file. And so this is something that is, again, it's in labs, so it's still being enhanced, modified, so you have an option to turn it on. But the ability to ask AI to generate runbooks for you,
Hmm.
and there's so much more. We've already announced our Q4 product roadmap where we're going to discuss more of the enhancements, but AI is just going to continue to explode in how we use it in the ITSM solution. So I wanted to give a teaser. This isn't a quote unquote
Okay.
officially marketed launched feature, but my marketing team did tell me that I was allowed to give you a preview with the caveat that saying it's in labs. So if you want to check it out, check it out. If you have
So
questions, let us know.
so
Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead,
from
Mon.
my end, Sean, on that the last piece that you've showed, it excited me as well because think about, the traditional days we're in, the thinking for creating workflows and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that it all fits in together within your ITSM tool. So that's really going to be a
Oh
significant,
yeah.
enhancement in terms of, if you want to revise or tune a process easily or even create a new one, that's going to be quicker than traditional ones.
Yeah. Again, one of the things that I think SolarWinds Service Desk team, the product side, they pride themselves in is
Mm,
saying we should make it as easy as possible within the platform, right? Of course, we want everything to be as codeless as possible, but I think this one is just so exciting and so big to say, all right, if you've written out 10 steps, just pop it in there and we'll make a sample workflow for you. And then again, your human element comes back to say, well, let's move this step there, let's move this step there. We've got your calendar on screen there,
yes.
Mon.
No, I just used this
Okay.
different one. I was trying to share the screen for the next one.
All good. Awesome.
All right, so I'm just gonna share, just go back to this slide deck, and we're gonna be opening up another poll question, I believe, for today. So it just really gives us a good understanding of the feedback from the team, Sean, today in terms of based on what they've actually seen today, do they feel that the existing AI features will be useful to their organization? Hopefully, we did a good job so far, Sean. And we get a yes.
I like seeing 100%. Let's see if we can keep it that way.
Oops, fingers crossed.
Yeah, so we're at 100% on yes, which I would love to think is a unanimous yes,
Yes.
because there's almost no arguing with the amount it can add to an environment when done correctly, right? And I think that last caveat super important. I absolutely respect apprehension when it comes to security and proper implementation, but when done correctly, it is such an invaluable tool.
And it's good to see that everyone in the audience today actually, is there's a resounding yes for across the board. And I'm happy that one, they're seeing the value of these types of, these are meant to be really quick webinars for us to showcase AI capabilities. But, in the future, if you want to know more about the full ITSM solution or the product itself, not just AI, then, we are here as contacts. You can reach out to myself or Sean. All right. Cool. So we're going to be opening up the floor for some questions if there's any. Let me just have a look. Are there any questions from the floor? Okay, our audience is too shy today, Sean. But as I said, right, if you have any follow-up questions following this session, guys, if you want to know more about the solution, please feel free to reach out to myself or to Sean or to your account manager at Prosperon. Some of you in the attendee are already Prosperon customers, so if you are keen to get to know more about our SolarWinds ITSM product, then please reach out to us. So finally, I'd like to end our session for today, Sean, with another poll question because, as what you've said, right, the last slide deck that you've shown about that runbook capability, I came from one of the feedback probably
Yeah.
in your session. So what we want to get from the audience today is really what do you want to see from an AI next within IT service management, which is probably could help us shape the direction of what we need to take with our SolarWinds product. So if everyone can, I would encourage everyone to please provide their
Yeah.
response on this one
And
because it's really important.
And when we go over this one, this is a fun opportunity to talk about something we haven't brought up yet. So as
Mm,
you take the poll, you see the options are chat, right, which is something we're familiar with outside of ITSM. So that would be your generative chat, discussing things with AI. And then workflow generation, we teased right here at the end, but then analytic insights has been a topic internally for SolarWinds on
mm,
what would be valuable next. And just to expand on analytic insights, that's asking the tool to look at the data for us and give
mm-hmm.
us some intelligence based off of trends that it sees, based
Yeah,
off of how we've been using the platform, what would be beneficial, right, based off of a nice infograph, how are we using, how could we be using it better. So I think it's an exciting topic. Right now it's actually winning out,
yeah.
67% over 33 for workflow generation.
Well,
um,
I feel
Very
like
cool.
that's the natural thing, isn't it? Because as much as we're embracing AI, a lot of the another trend is also about embracing AI. Sorry, data driven decisions, isn't it? And you can only do that by means of presenting some
Right.
analytics. So that's I'm not surprised with that, but workflow generation that's already coming up. So I think, Sean, this is one thing that you would probably take into the product management team in terms of what our audience or the market is actually looking for right now in
Yeah.
the AI.
I am a bit surprised when I think I helped come up with this poll recently for us, and I said, "Oh, it'll be chat unanimously," but let's put a few others in there. Um, and I think it's analytic insights might be
Yeah.
winning out because it's its own monster, right? It'd be nice to have some
Mm.
help with it, so people
Hmm.
really are looking at this as an assistant, right? And if I had an
Yeah.
assistant to tell me, "Here's some trends I've identified, some things that I've seen," I think that's a fantastic next use for generative AI.
Yeah. Right. So I think we have 5 minutes and we're going to be wrapping this up. So I don't see any questions. So we'll probably just any last few words from your end, Sean, and then I'll also share my thoughts before we end the webinar for today.
No, and again, just want to share what Mon said. If you have any questions at all, you know where to find us. I'm also on Thwack. I'm SPS Dude. So that's Sean Patrick Sebring Dude on Thwack. I'm very, very active in the SWAT community on the service desk forum. So love working with you guys, Prosperin, and yeah, happy to be here. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
inviting me out.
No, Sean, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure, working with you, especially our tandem. You always been doing this ITSM webinars. But yeah, thank you for your time. And I really hope that um, the audience learned a lot and something for today to get them excited and, get interested to actually explore SolarWinds ITSM solution. But posted on your screen right now, guys, are our social media channels. So please feel free to connect with us. And then also, if you have any questions, or if you also need, some guidance in terms of how you navigate through the SolarWinds website and our website for these materials, because we have a lot of content, Sean, on this one. So please feel free to reach out to us or your account managers, and we'll be happy to provide you with those information. So with that being said, I'd like to end this with really a thank you for everyone for joining us today. I hope you learned a lot and something to get you excited, as I said earlier. And by the way, one last, if you have any topics that you feel you would like to for us to talk about in our next ITSM webinars, please feel free to give us a shout, and then we'll think about and we'll consider that in our next webinar sessions. But other than that, thank you so much again for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again on our next webinar.
Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Man. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.